Italy and South Africa, folks, 45 points to nil. It's almost like the South Africans had a bit of a fire in the belly after last week's slightly closer than expected result. This game had a few things which were different. Literally, the kickoff did not go as expected. There was a red card for a headbutt, if you can call that a headbutt. There were midfield set mauls, not from lineouts from the South Africans. He had Edwill van der Merwe chasing everything. The atmosphere in Caberca seemed to be absolutely electric. Villi with his 100th, and Italy scoreless. They conceded a heap of penalties. They won a few turnovers. That's the kind of biggest plus for them. But yeah, 45-0. Big result statement from the box. We'll go through some of the key events and the stats, and you guys can let us know your thoughts. They milked a they milked a scrum at the start of the game. The box. This is both ingenious, but I'm not sure I like that one. Like, I love the midfield mauls, which they were setting where they would just lift the jumper and set for a maul, but like deliberately infringing to cause the Italians to have to feed a scrum from the kickoff by just kicking not 10 and getting Esterhuizen in front of the kicker to grab it. I don't think I like that. That's a loophole. That's a Rusty bit of genius, I'm sure. I'm not sure if he came up with it or if one of his coaching staff did, but I think that's one that if they were to change the laws, I don't think that would be a bad thing. But then again, how do you tell if that's deliberate? That one was pretty deliberate. They wanted to assert forward dominance, clearly, the South Africans, but it kind of backfired because they got the timing wrong at scrum time and got free kicked. But yeah, I've never seen that before. I watch a whole heap of rugby, and there's multiple things in this game when I'm like, never seen that before. Crazy stuff, but as I said, they got free kicked anyway, so it kind of backfired. 4 minutes, Jasper Wiese went close to the Italian goal line, but before they could even really check for a try, they found there was a knock-on in the build-up anyway. South Africa, from the resulting scrum, got free kicked again, which meant to a penalty because the second free kick for the same thing, just getting the timing not quite wrong, but by the third time they got it right. And boy, did it lead to a try. Own half from the Springboks. They have a scrum. The scrum gets advantage, and then they spin it to some of their pace guys. Edwill van der Merwe links up with the other winger, Mapimpi, and then Williams with the support line. Between those three guys, there is surely some pace. It's 5-0 with the misconversion, but the Boks are on the board, and then Italians are getting pinged. Boy, did they get pinged a lot. First at the breakdown, then at the maul. It's really adding up. They get themselves yellow card warned. South Africans not opting for points in this one. Again, point to prove, I think, after last week's scrum. Wide ball, Edwill van der Merwe. They have to check that his foot is not in touch. The ball is grounded just before his foot crosses the whitewash on the sideline. So it is given. I think it was Libok with the sweet wide ball for that one. Pretty nice stuff. Again, a misconversion, but it is 10 points to nil. Then we get a bit of handbags, and I feel like what is going to be one of the more controversial moments of this game, because the South Africans end up playing two-thirds of this game, Mark? 3/4 of this game, with 13 men, 14 men. Goodness me, I haven't had a coffee yet this morning. I rolled out of bed and literally just started watching this game because it's a bit delayed. It was on in the middle of the night my time. Handbags between Fischetti and Wiese, and then the ref, after a long review with the TMO, says that because he leads with the head and he headbutts him, that's Wiese on Fischetti, that's a full red card. Now, admittedly, their heads do touch each other. But if that's a headbutt, then what's a head tap? Because that was a head tap. Boom. Like, a headbutt is an aggressive, like more aggressive than that, right? A headbutt has to have some force behind it. This was more just like, I really want to see what the color of your eyes are, getting right up and close to you. I don't think Fischetti was devastatingly hurt by that headbutt, but honestly, you can't put yourself in the positions of the hands of the refs because they will card you. I don't think a red is the right thing here, but again, it's dumb. It's just unnecessary. So it's a red card. Rusty looked bemused. I didn't see the red card coming. I thought he would warn them or maybe card them in terms of a yellow, maybe just penalise them, but I didn't think it was aggressive enough or whatever for a full red card, but it's a full red card. which means there's no 20-minute replacement for this one. So what can the Box do? They're going to have to play the rest of the game with 14 men. We'll just keep on keeping on. Chuck Esterhazen on the flank at scrum time on their own feed. They still won scrum penalties to the South Africans, but it did get a little bit scrappy. Like South Africa had Vili in his 100th kick out on the full at one point. Zuliani would win a penalty at the breakdown. Then Italy would lose the line out because their line out was shocking. A few too many errors, but then finally they bring on the Ox. The South Africans after like 30 minutes as well, really early, win themselves a scrum penalty. They get advantage. Vili Leroux with a better kick this time, a dinking kick through. Edwin van der Merwe with the footballing skills to control it, and 17 points to 0. It's a pretty decent enough lead for the South Africans, but they weren't done, the South Africans. 37 minutes after Italy had actually had an attacking play, which was shut down. South Africa turned on the attack, set the maul with the lift in the midfield. That's what I'm talking about. Like, they had the lifters ready to go. They lifted Nokia, passed it to him up high, set the maul. You don't see that every day of the week. You get advantage from that maul. Williams peels off, and then Moody with the power in the midfield for this one. Rassie actually smiled. Like, after he was bemused for the red card, he actually had a proper smile on his face after that one. That one came off. 24 points to 0 at half-time. South Africa's dominated the territory. They've dominated the possession. The Italians have had to make more than double the tackles. The turnovers one is probably the biggest thing going for the Italians because they've still been able to at least turn a bit of ball over. Second half starts. Wilco Lowe gets himself yellow carded for a high shot on Negri, which makes it 15 against 13. So two-man advantage for the Italians, but then Malcolm Marx just wins a turnover. They just keep on about their business, and the Italians conceding too many penalties despite the two-man advantage get Fischetti yellow carded, so we're at 14 against 13. We're almost at rugby league because that's 13 against 13. If the Italians had one more card, they would get another card later, but not at the same time. Another midfield set, lift and maul. Malcolm Marx is able to go over 31-0. Then the game from the Marx try on 51 kind of just, like, it gets a little bit out of whack. Maybe it's just some of the substitutes coming on from both sides, but there's a few errors. There's a few like lineouts lost and into touch on the full, and just, yeah, it gets a little bit scrappy. They still finish with a flurry though, the Springboks. Mapimpi gets one after a maul. They spin it wide, and he goes over in the corner pretty much untouched. 38-0. Then there's another Italian yellow card, and then maul time for Wessels. Peels off, a wee bit of a spin, bit of a winger's finish from him. This TMO had a long look at that one, but eventually gives it. And nice kick from Libok from the sideline to convert it to make a 45-0 final score, which is pretty impressive, seeing as you played, vast majority of the game with a man down, and part of it with only 13 guys on the field. Line breaks is only 3 apiece, which is actually relatively low, but the territory and possession is dominated by South Africa. South Africa's line out did get a little bit scrappy, but it was still finished at 90%. The Italian one was at 56, which is among the worst I've ever seen in a test match. And penalties conceded 19-11. Anytime you're getting close to 20 penalties is horrendously high. The Italians had to make 163 tackles to 58. Which is, again, a pretty tiring shift. Esterhazen had 14 carries. Peter Steff had 13 carries. He also made 56 metres. Edwin van der Merwe got himself into some space, 46 metres from him. Yeah, Vincent made 3 turnovers, 1. Zuliani had 2. But, yeah, a bit of a tough day at the office for the Italians. And an interesting one for the Box, trying some new things. Some of it worked out pretty well, but they'll not be happy with the Visa red card. I'll be interested to see if that gets upheld or if they appeal it, because I don't know. I don't think if you look up headbutt in the dictionary, that's quite what it is. But as I said, you don't put yourself in the hands of the referees, because you might just get a card that you don't like. You guys let us know your thoughts on the game. 45-0, and I'm off to watch some more rugby. You guys take care. Talk to you again soon. See you later.